At the beginning of the film, we observe an elderly accountant counting large sums of money and waiting for his children to stop fighting. The man decides to remind Jimmy and his brother that they are parts of the same whole and are only worth something together. So the accountant tears up the note and gives the brothers each half of it. The action shifts to 2004 Mexico. The plane lands on the landing strip. The newspaper publishes the news that the very accountant named Laszlo has finally been released. At the same time, Jill gets into a taxi, nervously looking around. Upon returning home, the girl meets Jimmy, who asks her not to walk around the house with her shoes on, as he is just doing some cleaning. The mercenary also shows the girl a rattle he made of his most famous orders. Jill tells the mercenary that she again almost failed the order, because the man she was supposed to kill slipped and fell out of the window. The girl is angry that the man has gone from being a mercenary to a common housewife. Also, Jill tells that she isn't infertile, which means that the whole problem is Jimmy. The mercenary asks the girl not to mess up the dinner and invites her to the table. The action moves to Chicago, Illinois. From there, Laszlo, already known to us, finally comes out of prison. He is met by a boy who is very happy to see his father. Meanwhile, in California, we observe a famous dentist. Oz, as his friends and family call him, brushes his teeth and leisurely gets ready for work. The dentist is observing his wife Cynthia through a camera, which is extremely annoying to her. When Oz hears the doorbell ring, he immediately draws his weapon and waits. The alarm turns out to be false, because behind the door is just a neighbor girl who sells biscuits. Laszlo, meanwhile, destroys the competitors who tried to take away his business during his absence. Afterwards, the mobster lightly admonishes the guy, saying that he shouldn't be corrected. On the way to work, Oz has a conversation with a girl. Jill quietly asks if the mercenary could be in a relationship with Cynthia. The dentist boldly dismisses the idea and asks the girl not to worry about nothing. Oz goes to work, unaware that he is being closely followed. Laszlo orders his son to go into the office and grab the dentist, as they have something to discuss. The lad is about to begin the task, but then the dentist gets a call from his wife. While the son is being put under anesthesia, Oz learns that he is about to become a father. Overjoyed, the dentist leaves the patient and goes to celebrate the happy news. After a conversation at a cafe, Cynthia calls the mercenary and flirts with him. Back home in the evening, Oz wants to apologize for being frightened by the burst balloons and falling on the floor. However, the dentist is instead greeted in the living room by Laszlo and his son. After a little physical pressure, the mafioso says he wants to discuss Yanni. Oz swears that his son Yanni was not killed by him, but by Jimmy Tulip. The dentist himself had nothing to do with it. According to him, Jimmy himself also lost his life a long time ago. Laszlo orders his men to deal with the dentist, but he manages to spread panic and slip away. In a panic, Oz cancels all appointments at the clinic and leaves for Mexico. Laszlo realizes that the dentist is going there. Earlier, Jimmy was identified by his teeth, and the mafioso believes that Oz could have easily set it up and thus saved his friend. Meanwhile, the dentist makes it to Mexico and calls Jimmy. The mercenary demands that Oz stay away from his house, or he will run over him by car. However, the dentist has no one else to go to, so he breaks Jimmy's ban. As he approaches the house, Oz causes a commotion and accidentally runs over one of the chickens. At first, Jimmy attacks the uninvited guest with a rifle, but then, noticing the indigent in the road, he forgets about the dentist. Crying, the mercenary carries the chicken into the house, shocking Oz also by the fact that all birds have their own names. Jill, unlike her husband, is delighted to see the dentist and asks what brings him to them. Oz tells that when he returned home, he found Laszlo at his place, who is determined to find those who took the life of his son, Yanni. In addition, the mafioso has taken his wife Cynthia with them, who is likely being held hostage. Oz tries to warn the mercenary that he is being sought by Laszlo himself for revenge. However, Jimmy shocks the dentist by only caring about his dinner and the birds in the yard. Jill tries to convince the mercenary that this is a great chance for him to get back in the game. However, Jimmy refuses, as he enjoys cooking, cleaning, and raising chickens. Jill shouts that the mercenary must save Cynthia because she's his ex-wife. In response, Jimmy coldly says that next time he will stab the girl in the face for this, so they had better sit down and enjoy their dinner, which is probably already spoiled. At the meal, the mercenary is very unhappy that the potatoes are stuck in the gravy, even though they should be swimming in it. Oz, meanwhile, tells him that Laszlo has about a dozen men and good weapons. Jimmy says that he doesn't care about his ex-wife, as he doesn't want to lose his quiet and measured life because of her. At the same moment, Laszlo's men open fire on the house. All three men immediately leave the veranda, and then, taking their bags of weapons and belongings, leave the house through the secret passage. Meanwhile, Laszlo's men go inside, hoping to find Jimmy. The trio manage to escape safely and make it to town. Jimmy praises the girl for her accurate shots. Meanwhile, Laszlo, who has found confirmation of Oz and the mercenary's involvement in his son's death, demands that the trio be eliminated before the next morning. Jimmy asks that the dentist leave his car on the street, as with these inputs, they will be harder to find. Oz is outraged, but Jill manages to convince him that there is no other way out. After that, the trio makes peace. The dentist buys bus tickets, and they set off on a journey, hoping that the mafia will lose track of them. Soon, the trio reaches California, and in the meantime, Laszlo tries to find their trail. After a bite to eat, the bus reaches Los Angeles. During breakfast, Jimmy repeats that he doesn't care about his ex-wife. Oz remarks that he doesn't, as the mercenary still wears the crucifix on his neck that Cynthia gave him. This infuriates Jill and she picks a quarrel. Soon, cars with mercenaries arrive at the diner. Cynthia, meanwhile, decides to steal money from the mafioso and escape. Jimmy manages to take Laszlo's son hostage and promises that he will soon inform the place where the boy will be exchanged for Cynthia. Oz's wife, meanwhile, puts the money aside and tries to find something else. Jill tries to remove the crucifix, in response to which the mercenary points a gun at her. Jimmy says it's his talisman, and if he takes it off, he'll lose his life, and the girl hardly wants that. At the hotel, the mercenary tries to apologize to Jill, but the girl locks herself in the bathroom and demands that he get rid of the crucifix right away. A frustrated Jimmy leaves the room and goes to get drunk, learning that the girl has told Oz about his erection problems. At the bar, the dentist tries to comfort a crying Jimmy. The mercenary is very worried that for all his sins, God doesn't want to grant him a child. In the morning, Oz wakes up in bed and suddenly finds a naked mercenary beside him. Jimmy tells the dentist that they were trying to solve each other's problems. Besides, they had a great night, and so it's not worth ruining the experience with cries of despair and lack of acceptance of the truth. When Jimmy goes outside, the girl starts openly hitting on Oz. When the mercenary sees this, he throws the dentist across the room, making him pass out. After that, Jimmy approaches his wife and passionately kisses her, to which she happily responds. At first, the couple doesn't notice Laszlo's bound son, but then the mercenary moves him to another room. The boy looks out the window and notices the missing car. Meanwhile, Laszlo receives a phone call. The mafioso threatens Jimmy that if he doesn't get his son, he'll start cutting Cynthia off piece by piece. After hanging up, Jimmy says they need more guns because the negotiations are unlikely to go smoothly. The trio drive to Oz's house, where he finds more weapons for his needs. Laszlo's son, meanwhile, tries to free himself, but, noticing the surveillance, hides in the boot. He fails to open it, but the mafioso believes that his foolish son got in there himself. Soon, the trio are fired upon. Laszlo isn't sure if he caused the criminal, but demands to stop don't work. Jimmy arranges a new time and place for the mafioso to meet, after which they get in the car and try to evade pursuit in order to make the exchange and save Cynthia. Arriving at the hotel, the trio realize that their hostage is dead. Jill realizes that she was the one who accidentally hit him. Jimmy criticizes the girl, saying she is talentless. Jill wants to leave the mercenary, but he responds by only throwing her the keys and taking his bag of belongings. Oz doesn't understand how to make the exchange, and Jimmy replies that they can forget about him now, and Cynthia will probably be liquidated soon because they have no one to exchange her for. When the mercenary enters the room, he realizes that he has mistaken his bag. Jill opens it and finds inside is half of the note that Laszlo gave Jimmy when he was a kid. Oz, meanwhile, fakes an intermittent connection and tells the mafioso that he can't hear him very well. Jimmy goes to get the girl in a taxi, and the girl realizes that he wouldn't have called if he hadn't mistaken the bags. Oz goes to the hospital and learns that his assistant is the sister of the man he eliminated. Jules puts the dentist and Jimmy to sleep. The pair regain consciousness next to Cynthia. The girl tells Jimmy that she didn't find what he asked her for. Jill, meanwhile, tries to get the guys out by imitating that Laszlo's son is alive. The mafioso orders the girl to destroy Jimmy to earn his loyalty. Jill asks the mercenary to say that he no longer loves Cynthia, but he keeps silent. The girl takes Jimmy's life, and Laszlo presses the button of the remote she brought, and the car blows. Jimmy eliminates the mafia because he had come up with a plan with Jill beforehand. A mercenary asks a girl to wound Laszlo in the leg, and then they escape before the police arrive. The mafioso is arrested, and Jimmy learns that he's going to be a father. This is the end of the film. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this film, and see you in new videos.